Good evening, everybody. We're about to begin this webinar. Before we do, however, we want to make sure that your computer audio works and that the volume is turned up on your computer so that you can hear us, right? So if I'm just mouthing inaudibly right now, you can't hear me telling you to check your audio, but please check your audio. Also, you can introduce yourself in the chat box by typing your name to everyone. And notice that where the chat box is that says messages, there should also be a place where you can submit questions that we'll field at the end of the webinar. And submit your questions there. And at the end, we'll have a question answer session. Also, your microphone will be muted for this webinar. And we will begin now. So move forward to the next slide. This is Sigma Tau Delta Pays You Back, Scholarships and Internships. I'm Kane Ezel. I am the Scholarship Chair in Southwestern Regent on the board for Sigma Tau Delta. With me is Tim Helwig, Service and Partnerships Co-Chair in Midwestern Regent. Say hi to everyone, Tim.
Hello, everyone.
And Felicia Steele, Service and Partnerships Co-Chair in Eastern Region. Say hi to everybody, Felicia.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. Begin by talking about scholarships. And as you can see, the information presented here, there are fall, spring, and summer cycles. But right now we are in the season of the biggest cycle, and that's spring. Right? A multitude of our awards are offered during this cycle. The applications have gone up recently, I believe. So you should be able to get in and look, begin looking at submitting your application. And we'll take applications through April 11th on award spring. And the scholarships are typically awarded in May, and then the funds are dispersed in August to your college. So some general application advice, and this is the part I hope you find very helpful in this webinar, both in my perspective as scholarships chair, and also when Tim and Felicia talk about internships and applications. And you can see this information here, so I'm not going to read it to you, but what I would like to do is just give you an example. You know, if you're a student or if you're a faculty advisor advising students as they begin scholarships, it is to have a clear vision, or is the way I would word it, when you're presenting things like service, right? Because usually the scholarship applications will ask students to discuss their service in some way. And a tendency that students have, at least where I am in Oklahoma, is a tendency to downplay accomplishment rather than sort of develop accomplishment. So, for example, we do a book drive in our chapter, where students volunteer to collect books that are then sold, and the proceeds from that book sale go to funding programs that our public libraries do in Oklahoma. It's a very valuable service, and the book drive raises thousands of dollars to help implement those programs that will be implemented for elementary, for preschool to elementary to adult education. And I've seen students that we've had filling out applications just write, well, I volunteered at a book drive, and that was all they would put for service. Instead of detailing and explaining, I participated in a book drive from which the proceeds go to developing continuing education. That matters. So when you're discussing your service, right, be sure to talk about the implications of what your service provided, right? It's more, you did more than just volunteering at a book drive. That volunteering at a book drive made it possible to raise money that benefits thousands of people. And that it's important to note that in your applications. I would also urge you, to submit your best writing sample if the scholarship calls for a writing sample. And I would also strongly recommend that you find your faculty recommenders as soon as possible and give them plenty of time to brag on you in their letters of recommendation. Right? This says give them at least 2 weeks before time, but I would even say a month, or give them a month. and give them information as well, or send them the scholarship information and what kind of information they might need so that they can speak to your service or speak to your academic excellence in their letters of recommendation. It's these small things that separate those who are awarded scholarships from those who might not be awarded scholarships. It is those little differences, right, where you have two students who are both volunteering at the same book drive, but because one student just makes a bullet point that says, I volunteered at a book drive. And then another student elaborates on what comes from that volunteer experience. That's why student A would not get the scholarship and student B would get the scholarship. So I just really want to emphasize that as you're thinking about submitting applications. Ready for the next slide. So these are a number of the scholarships that are awarded. We have the junior, senior, and graduate scholarships. And I should note that if you are a second year student at your university, but you have junior hours, you go by the hours. Right? So even if you're considered a sophomore in your second year, but you have hours that is technically junior level, then you can apply for the junior scholarship. So we have junior, senior, and graduate scholarships. The junior scholarship is in the amount of $3,000. The senior and graduate scholarships are up to $4,000. The William C. Johnson Scholarship is the most prestigious scholarship that we have, and that is up to $6,000. The Continuing Education Scholarship is $2,500. Study abroad scholarships, which we're beginning to offer again this cycle. We haven't offered them for a few cycles because of COVID, but we are beginning to take applications for them again this semester or this cycle, or up to $3,000. The summer program scholarship is up to $1,500. The Lit Research Grant can be up to $1,000 and up to $500 for runners-up for the Lit Research Grant. We also offer the PC Somerville Award for Future Teachers. So if you are a senior going into teaching, this is an award that, and I lost it on my notes here, so I'm going to find it on my backup notes, up to $2,000 for the Somerville Award for Future Teachers. We also have scholarly paper awards, and then also, if you apply for a junior, senior, or graduate scholarship, and you don't make the cut to be awarded one of those, then you might also be in consideration for what's called a Regent Scholarship of up to $1,000. Right, so maybe your application missed out for some reason, but if it was at a high level, nevertheless, you might be in the running for a Regent Scholarship as well. Right, I'm ready for the next slide now. So yeah, you can see here this list of scholarships here on the web page. This is what it looks like on the Sigma Tau Delta webpage, english.org. Yeah, I'm ready to move on to the next one. And we use a program called Award Spring to collect applications, and you choose which scholarship. Well, first there's a general application, and in the general application, Award Spring will show you the applications that match your eligibility. And from there, you'll have follow-up questions. There'll be some essay questions. You might have to submit a writing sample, and you'll also need to list 2 faculty recommenders. And you'll just make the list and provide the contact information, and Award Spring will send your recommenders an email instructing them on how they can submit your letter of recommendation. And you can see here what the login page looks like for Award Spring. And once you are logged in, this is what the page will look like. You click on the Start Application and then begin that. You see here a few questions and a few screenshots, to give you a little bit of comfort to make sure you're heading in the right direction when you begin to apply for scholarships. Right, so this year, the essay prompts follow the convention theme, which deals with action. And you choose one of these prompts and write an essay of around 420 words in answer to one of these prompts. In prompt number one is, in what ways do you see yourself taking action to rise again after challenges that you faced? And the second prompt is, what roles have stories played in inspiring you to take action to change your circumstances or your community? So again, 420 word essay in answer to one of these prompts. So I'm going to turn it over now to Tim, and he is going to begin to talk to you about internships.
All right. Thank you so much, Kane. Hi, I'm Tim Helwig, the Midwestern Regent and co-chair, along with Felicia Steele, as Kane told you earlier, of the Service and Partnerships Committee, which manages our society's many internship opportunities. So the first one that I'm going to talk to you about are the internship stipends, which we'd really like to increase the number of applications that we get for these. So each year, Sigma Tau Delta internship stipends of up to $1,500 are available during 3 cycles: fall, spring, and summer, and are are designed to support an active chapter member in good academic standing who has accepted a non or low paying internship. And that can be either in person or virtual. Applications for the summer 2022 internship stipend competition, which will be accepted on award spring through April 11th. Please note that our internship stipends do not apply to activities that are part of a student's regular degree requirements, such as student teaching, and cannot be used to supplement a graduate assistantship. And then also, financial need and the length of the internship are considered during the evaluation process. Next slide. So because the quality and the completeness, I'm going to talk about the budget shortly, of your application are so important, we want to provide you with some useful tips as you write, revise, probably revise again, edit, proofread, and then submit your application for an internship stipend. So you want to, of course, follow the directions carefully and provide all the required materials. So among those things, you'll need to provide an acceptance letter or email from your immediate internship supervisor. You'll submit a carefully edited resume. And in the personal statement essay, you'll describe specifically what you will be doing at your internship, right? Discuss how it will help you achieve your long-term professional goals. You'll also be asked to talk about your service to Sigma Tau Delta, which can include any leadership positions that you've held, and explain how the financial support from Sigma Tau Delta, the up to $1,500, will be beneficial to you. A critically important document that applicants sometimes underestimate is your budget, which should itemize all your expenses for the internships. This could include things like housing costs, transportation costs, right? If you're driving back and forth, how much gas do you estimate, right, you'll spend during the internship? The budget should also list any other sources of financial support that you may be receiving, such as, perhaps a small salary from the internship, or you're receiving other grants, right? Or maybe you're making a personal contribution, right? And then the budget should also tally the precise amount, again, up to $1,500 that you are requesting. So to help applicants produce their budgets, because we're English people, right? Math isn't necessarily our natural inclination here. We have provided on our website's information page about internship stipends links to 2 sample budgets from successful applications, right, in the past. And so we do encourage applicants for the internship stipends to really look closely at that budget, right? The sample budgets, to make sure that you're putting together an accurate one. And then we also, on that same page, provide a link to advice about how to write a budget that's provided by the University of North Carolina's Writing Center. Okay. Recommendation letters are required, and they're due 1 week after the deadline. So April 18th for the summer 2022 internship stipend competition. At least one of the 2 letters should be from one of your college professors, and the other letter might be from a past employer. Be sure to give your letter writers plenty of time, as Kane mentioned earlier, at least 2 weeks, ideally a little more, to write a letter of recommendation for you. So in other words, start your application for an internship stipend early. So, okay, Naaman, I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, now second, the National Council of Teachers of English, NCTE's Communications Internship, trains the intern virtually for 5 weeks for 15 hours per week, starting in June. So it would be starting this June 2022, to do such things as create social media content, support NCTE Twitter chats, write emails promoting live events, and draft press releases. Those are the kinds of things that you could expect to be trained to do. The combined financial support from NCTE and Sigma Tau Delta totals $1,300, right, as it says there. Now, like the summer internship stipends, you can apply for the NCT internship on award spring through April 11th. And the application requires the following documents. So again, it's going to be a carefully edited cover letter in which you explain specifically how the NCT internship will help you to achieve your career goals, right? So you really want to be as specific and precise, right, as possible there. You'll be asked to provide a resume, one letter of recommendation from your chapter advisor or, right, a professor who knows you and your writing well, and 2 to 3 communication samples. I don't know if we have another slide for this, Naaman. Yes, okay, yeah, sorry. So it looks like I'm down at the bottom here, the 2 to 3 communication writing samples, which are evaluated by the committee that is choosing. And so for the writing samples, you want to consider submitting blog posts that you have written about events on your campus, right? As well as other social media content, stories, again, about things that have happened at your university or college. So again, with the application deadline of April 11th, a little over a month away, you should start working on your application early. And we really hope to get a lot of good quality applications for this really competitive and highly sought after NCTE internship. So good luck, everyone. So I'm now going to turn it over to my co-chair, Felicia Steele, who will tell you about Sigma Tau Delta's other internship opportunities. Felicia.
Thank you, Tim. So I think everyone is familiar with what Penguin and Random House is, right? This is one of the largest publishing houses probably on the planet right now. And Sigma Tau Delta partners with Random House to identify priority applicants who are going to be screened early in their evaluation process. So for this particular cycle, there are 3 cycles a year for the Penguin Random House internship. But for this cycle, this is going to be an on-site internship in New York City from June 14th to August 19th. It is going to be about 28 hours a week. Penguin pays $20 an hour, and Sigma Tau Delta would provide a stipend to help defray living costs and transportation costs, which can be substantial in the Northeast Corridor. So the internships will be apportioned across 4 different departments in Penguin Random House. There will be the editorial department, which is responsible for the production of books, marketing, which is how books find readers, along with publicity. So it's 5 departments. See, this math thing is coming back up that Tim talked about, that I can't count to 5. Sales, and then also IT and finance. And even though those 2 words might be a little frightening to English majors, I really would encourage you to think about how important information technology and budgeting and all of these things are to the publishing industry. So this internship is a little bit different and has a different calendar than the other applications we've been talking about. The Sigma Tau Delta portion of the process has a very fast turnaround. The application is due to us for this priority consideration March 14th. Now, students also have to apply to Penguin Random House directly by April 1st. Now, what this means is that even if we don't identify you as a priority applicant, you are still in the pool. And so that's something that's important to consider. So can we, yeah, thank you. So the application materials include a cover letter, a resume, a statement about what you're hoping to achieve from the internship, and to describe what you've learned from previous leadership role and work experience that you hope will, that you believe will add value to your time at Penguin Random House. Now, in your cover letter, you can indicate what kind of preference you have for working with different parts of their market for adult books or children's books. But one of the things that I really want to emphasize to you is that some of the statements that you'll hear about job application cover letters don't necessarily apply in publishing, right? The cover letter effectively serves as your writing sample to the publishing company and shows them that you can write. And so don't feel obliged to stay within this like 2-inch block of text to stay on the first page, right? You really do want to make an argument to them about why they should hire you. And that argument should show that you understand something about the nature of publishing. And one of the things that I always caution my own students who are applying to internships in publishing to think about is that, you know, all of us, especially members of an organization like Sigma Tau Delta, are very attached to reading. And a lot of our identity is attached to our experiences with books. And we can also tend to romanticize them. So Penguin and the readers in Sigma Tau Delta have read the cover letter that begins with you musing about the glory of sitting with a book in your window seat when you were a child, right? That isn't necessarily going to distinguish you in the pool. And so think about the practical components of this and what you would like to learn about the industry. Okay. Now, we also have other internship opportunities, and I apologize, I had to flip away from the chat screen being open, but I know that a number of people were expressing some distress about the on-site nature of the Penguin internship. But one of the things I'd really like to emphasize is that we do have these other remote internship opportunities that are directly involved with media and publishing. The NCTE internship that Tim talked about, but then also there are internships with Sigma Tau Delta's own journals that are remote and that run from May 10th to August 10th. And the applications have been open for a little while, but they're going to be open until Monday. And so these are also excellent opportunities to learn about publishing in a smaller scale. So a smaller scale than Penguin, but a larger scale than your college or university. Now, in addition to that remote opportunity, Sigma Tau Delta also partners with the Washington Internship Institute and the Washington Center Internship Program. And this is a really interesting and exciting program that helps to coordinate internships for students who have all sorts of different interests. But for students in the humanities, these include internships in groups like the National Archives, National Gallery of Art with the Smithsonian, and the Washington Internship helps to coordinate significant internships, academic coursework, housing, and guidance and support for the staff. So, you know, this is also a very good opportunity if you're looking to think about the broader implications of what we're doing. Now, also, we'd like to remind you all that we've had a number of people through Wordy by Nature, the Society blog, and footnotes and social media posts share about their own experiences as interns, and you can learn a lot about different industries through that. But we also provide a number of updates through footnotes and social media and new opportunities as we come across them. Now, I just want to go through a sort of a summary of the web pages that can be helpful to you. So, this is going to be recorded, but you can also find all of these web pages through our root site, english.org. But if you want to take a little screenshot, this would be a good opportunity, or a picture with your camera to record these links. But Award Spring is open for our spring scholarship cycle and internship stipend cycle until April 11th. We have an overview that shows all the awards. We have a full descriptive page of all of the scholarships. We have a description of the Lambda Iota Tau or the LIT research grants. If you're planning to do archival research, or this is a wonderful way to help subsidize that research. And do you want to go on to the next slide? Great. And then we also have a number of sites, or a number of pages that are associated with our internships. When you go to english.org and you go to the tab that says internships and select about internships, that gives you an overview. There are links there on the left to the Sigma Tau Delta Journal internships, the Internship Stipend, the NCTE summer internship, as well as the Penguin Random House summer internship. And so at this point, if you'd like to put your questions into the Q&A chat box, then we can have a discussion and answer any questions that you might have.
And then our first question is from Angelia Hayes. Hopefully I'm getting that name right, who asks, can I apply for an internship stipend even if I haven't been accepted for an internship yet? That sounds like a Tim or a Felicia question.
Right. I mean, my understanding is that they do have to have the internship set up and in place. So it is a process that you have to be starting early, because one of the key parts of your application will be providing evidence and proof that you do in fact have an internship, right? And it's really only by knowing that you're going to have one and how much it might pay that you can even write a budget for what will it be in person, will it be in virtual. So anyway, I don't recall ever evaluating an internship stipend application that didn't already have an internship lined up. Okay.
Yeah, if I could piggyback on that just really quickly, the deadline for the stipend is April 11th, right? And so,
yes.
This is it can be a good motivator to, look at the possibility of applying for the internships right now, because we still do have 3 weeks in April, and that would give you 11 days, or 3 weeks in March. I'm doing badly with numbers, and 11 days in April. So use this as motivation to start looking.
All right, next question. Let's see. I'll take out the parenthetical. Is housing provided with the Penguin Random House internship, or are we supposed to cover that ourselves with the stipend? That comes from Rosalind Mullen.
Yeah, and so the stipend is intended to help defray this. There isn't a housing scheme that is set up, but one of the things that I'm in New Jersey, and a number of people live in New Jersey and commute into New York City for work in different ways. So one of the things to consider are, even though Sigma Tau Delta as an organization doesn't help with housing, there are a number of ways to use the broader networks of people that we have to help coordinate housing. So I've had students who have had other internships in the city before, arrange sublets and things like that through people that they knew through Sigma Tau Delta.
Sorry, for on-site opportunities, are locations safe? Some sites and neighborhoods are unsafe compared to others. This is from Gabrielle Duplessis.
Yeah. So Gabrielle, is this in reference specifically to New York City or to Washington D.C.? Penguin Random House is right in the center of Midtown, which is as safe a part of New York as one could find. Um, so Washington D.C. all of the Washington D.C. internships are also squarely within the kind of major cultural center of it as well, which is quite safe. And the internships do put housing arrangements on the intern for the Penguin Random House. Now, one of the advantages of the Washington Institute program is that they do help coordinate housing with their internship program. And one of the scholarships that is available through Sigma Tau Delta helps. There are two scholarships for the Washington Internship Institute. One is a $500 merit-based scholarship to attend the Institute program, which through a partnership with the Association of College Honor Societies. And the Washington Center internship, there's a $1,000 housing scholarship to attend the internship program. So that helps to cover some costs, and TWC does coordinate the housing with the candidate.
Okay, so Angelia Hayes asks, is the summer abroad program eligible for the study abroad scholarship? So long as it's a full-term study abroad, yes. Summer counts. You can see it in the application on english.org. In the description, it does stipulate that summer is eligible as long as it's a full-length, full-term study abroad. So, do we need a letter of recommendation to apply for the Sigma Tau Delta Journal's internship? This is from Samantha Souza.
The internship must have a resume, CV, and a cover letter, and those materials go straight to the journal editor. So there isn't a letter of recommendation. The application process for the journals is slightly different. It doesn't go through a word spring, so it goes straight to Carrie King, who is the editor of the journals. Oh, no, you should apply to both, right? Because first of all, because if you're interested in the internship, you should apply for the internship with Penguin, no matter what. And so the materials that they are asking for are basically duplicates of what we're asking for. So it doesn't really double the time that you're spending in any way. So I apply to both of them. This one is tough. Tim, do you want to take a stab at this?
Internships that start when I am studying abroad. I mean, so that's not really about applying for any of our internships, correct? Or the internship stipend?
Claire, or Chiara, could you put in the chat? Could you put a clarification in the chat window?
Yes, and meanwhile, the webinar is scheduled for 30 minutes. We are a bit past that, and we can stay on for a few more minutes to answer questions. But we do have quite a few. So I know any ones that are easily answerable and are related to scholarships, I'll type you an answer. So if you were interested in that question, someone other than the person typing it was interested in that question, look for an answer, and we'll answer a few more as best we can. Okay, a maximum length or number of characters for the graduate scholarship essay. Let me look at the maximum length. Are you referring to the essay, like the paper, the writing sample that goes along with it? I might need a little bit more context to answer this question. So if you don't mind typing in the chat a little bit more context of which scholarship essay you're referring to, I can better answer that. Okay, so can we have another question? One more. Yes, the study abroad scholarship would cover a study abroad this summer. Or if you look at the description of it, your study abroad scholarships are determined, that I'm reading from the website now, are determined in 2 stages. Fall recipients are announced in December. Spring recipients are notified in early May. Successful fall applications can be used from January to December of the subsequent year. And successful spring applications can be used from the time of the upcoming summer term through the end of the subsequent spring semester. So yes, you can apply for one, be awarded it, and use it this summer.
Okay, so my school has a publishing track, so we have students who do internships at lots of different kinds of publishers. So yes, I mean, a potential employer would find a Penguin Random House experience on a resume valuable, but at the same time, the reverse is also true. So, Penguin Random House would also find internships at smaller houses to be, as well as magazines and all sorts of other different kinds of publishing opportunities. They would find all of those useful. So, if you are interested in publishing, you probably should be thinking about multiple different kinds of publishing experiences. Often people don't necessarily have the kind of experience that they expected they would have.
And Felicia, I recall from evaluating the applications for the Penguin over the years that many of our priority candidates, the best applications, do already have some internship experience, right, that they can draw on to talk about in their letter. So Penguin, an internship with Penguin isn't typically the one's first internship.
Right. Definitely. And they really are trying to think about people that they can hire on, right? And that's one of the reasons why they want people who are close to the end of their academic career, because they're hoping that they can mentor the best of the pool into permanent employees. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I answered that in the QA chat.
Oh, okay.
As well. I'm glad I got it right. Felicia.
Yeah. and I mean, I will not make any claims to Jersey being cheap, but and transportation is not cheap, but anywhere along the Northeast corridor from Trenton to Jersey City is people live on and work in New York. So I am outside of Trenton, and I would say probably about a quarter of my colleagues live in New York City or Philadelphia. So they never have dinner parties. These are brief, right? These are
420
400 words.
Yeah, for graduate as well. Yeah, for undergraduate, graduate, 420 words is the word maximum word length. I think we just answered that one. So did we clear it?
I think we have one more
Okay.
about, does a letter of recommendation toward a general application for each internship, or are there separate applications for each? And that's a question that I don't actually know the answer to. If you apply to multiple programs, I don't quite know how the system works. So I don't know if our communications person from Elfie, I don't know if that's a question that you can ask in the chat.
I think Elfie just typed an answer to that
Okay.
in the chat.
Okay, great.
All right. Scrolling through.
Okay. Oh,
And I think Felicia answered this in the text part of this. So,
Yeah.
yes.
it's competitive. Yeah.
It is competitive.
Yes.
All right.
And the same goes for scholarships, right? There are lots of people applying. This is why I emphasized, and why Felicia and Tim both emphasized that you need to sell your accomplishments, right? You're not lying. You are selling your accomplishments. You need to do something to separate yourself from other candidates because they are very competitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cover letters, any kind of application is a persuasive genre, right? You're making an argument to the question of either you should hire me because, or you should fund me because. So, think of it in that way.
And yeah, and because they're so competitive, that is why we, one of the reasons we created the internship stipend to really help you guys out, to provide, some funding back to you students to help you, have your internship experience. So we really do hope we'll get a lot of great applications for internship stipends. I'll just plug that one more time. So.
Yeah. And for those of you who are interested in publishing, almost every major university has a publishing house as well. So, even if you're not in New York City, then there are publishing opportunities distributed throughout the country. So that's a wonderful place to apply an internship stipend.
All right, so I think we covered the field. But if you have any further questions beyond that, right, there are ways you can contact the central office to get answers to those questions. Look on the English.org website for further information. And hopefully you've been helped by what we've been able to do today. We want to give you money, right? Sigma Tau Delta pays you back. We want to give you money. I think that's a wrap. Have a good evening.